Hi, I'm Eileen Roche, and welcome to today's episode of Between Friends. Thanks for joining me from wherever you're watching from today. I see we have folks in West Michigan, Washington State, and Marjorie Hirschberger, hello to you, and Humid Lancaster, PA. We've been having some trouble with Facebook, but it looks like somebody is tuned in from Facebook. So if you're actually watching on Facebook, would you make a comment? Because it'll come up in our stream here and show us that, yes, you are on Facebook. Okay, that's good. Oh, that makes me feel good, because right before we went live, we got a notice from this platform that said, you're not connected to Facebook. So after a little bit of scrambling, it looks like we're doing just fine. So thanks so much for joining us today. And we are talking, do you ever have those moments in your sewing room like, help, how do I hoop this? I sure do. And, I also, before we get started on that, I'm going to give you an interesting story, because today we're really talking all about sticky hoop, which is my second favorite hoop, right? Because my favorite hoop is Snap Hoop Monster, but my second favorite hoop is sticky hoop. And it does tasks that the Monster hoop doesn't handle as well. And it handles items that are almost impossible to hoop. So, but I'll tell you, I didn't invent sticky hoop. It was, I'm not really sure who on our team came up with that idea. So I'm going to blame my good partner, Gary Gardner, that it was his idea. And I resisted for so long, like a couple years, that long. And then finally, we had a meeting with more team members of Dime, that lived across the USA and didn't come in very often. So when we presented it to them, they were educators. They were head over heels excited about it. So I said, okay, let's just introduce sticky hoop to the embroiderers across the USA. And I'm awful glad we did, because not only do many of you love it, so do I. So you never know. Some things that, we're resistant, we should open our mind, right? It might be a great new experience, a great new product to try. So let's see, what are we talking about? Well, it's those types of things that are really hard to handle, like the edge of a hoodie, a hat, and this would, of course, would be on a flatbed machine, like your normal home embroidery machine. Maybe some totes, cosmetic bags, ribbons, belts, all those skinny things, and oh boy, they're really something. It can really be a challenge. So let's see. Susie DeSoto says she has sticky hoop but hasn't used it. And you tried Snap Hoop Monster but didn't do well. Oh, Susie, you let me tell you something. Get yourself a terry cloth towel. Maybe go in your garage and find one that you use to wash the car or something, and hoop it with soft tearaway stabilizer, and rehoop it and rehoop it, and stitch a monogram or a funny word, whatever. Just do about 6 hoopings in your Snap Hoop Monster. And after that, you're going to be comfortable and confident with that tool. And I think it will become your go-to hoop, because it's really easy to use. Sticky hoop is even easier. Wait till you see how easy that is. So don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. And we have friends from all over California, Sigrid in Germany, from Berlin. Wow, how about that? Let's see. Let's see. Sheila is in hot Florida. I understand it's very hot down there right now. I'm in Texas, and we've had nothing but rain here for quite a while. So I'm happy to see a little sunshine that we have today. And Julie Ann Crooks is up in Montana. Well, I'll bet it's lovely there today. All right, let's go ahead and get going on this how do I hoop, right, and help. So let's shop the wall first so you can see exactly what we're talking about. We have, let me see, I'm a little turned around. So we have Snap Hoop Monster. Well, there's our Snap Hoop Monsters, but we're going to be talking about sticky hoop. So sticky is a flat metal bottom. Of course, it has an attachment that's recognized your machine, just like our Snap Hoop Monsters, but it doesn't have a top. It comes with pre-cut stabilizer that is cut the exact size of that frame that you purchase. There are refill packs available. If you really love that custom cut size, you can purchase the refill pack. There's 25 in a set, and they're going to fit your hoop. And of course, you have to purchase for the frame that you purchased originally. because a 4x4 refill pack is not going to fit your 120 by 20 Viking. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And what else are we going to use? Well, we're going to use hoop clip today. This is another handy tool for our metal hoops, and I'll show you that. I'm going to use the totally tubular hooping station just briefly, not really for hooping, but for applying the sticky stabilizer to the back of the hoop. So let's just go ahead and get started. So here you can see we have this is a 4x4, and this is exactly how it comes. Now, the board that it comes on, it is packaging, right? It's got promo copy on it and information as to what size and so forth. And then your pre-cuts are on the back, and you'll find them, once you open up the the shrink wrap. But keep that board. The board is very sturdy, and you'll use it to transport your hoop during, your embroidery from your work table over to your machine. So keep that handy, okay? It's a good idea to do that. I'm just going to put this back on the shop wall, and we're going to start with our hoop. So you will apply your rulers, and of course instructions are on it. Now this is a well-loved hoop, and it's dirty, and I'm going to clean this at the end of the program so you understand how to do that. But before I do it, let's go ahead and attach the sticky stabilizer to the wrong side. So I'm just going to slide in my totally tubular hoop stand just so that you can see. Of course, now remember, this is a wood surface, right? So I have an edge here, and that's what's desirable. So here's the top of sticky hoop. Now I'm going to flip this over because I'm going to put my sticky on the back. And before I do, I'm going to take my sticky and separate the actual stabilizer from the protective paper. So I'm going to pull the stabilizer away, and this is the part that's sticky over here. So I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to slide that protective paper under the frame, just right there, just right there. And now when I attach my sticky stabilizer to my frame and I press down, it's going to adhere to the frame, and it's also going to adhere to that protective paper. Now that hoop is all set up and ready to be used. To use it, I would, of course, remove the protective paper, stitch my design, but I always keep this sheet handy, and then, this is how I store them on the board, and then I have it all set for my next hooping. So let's go ahead and see one of these in action. And I had such great plans for all of this. And now I can see that I'm missing a hoop. How can that be? Gloria Cardoza, how can that be that I'm missing a hoop? So let's go ahead and I'll grab this one. This ought to be good enough. Okay, so here's a 5x7. All right, now I'm going to move this board out of the way because I know you can't see it. And I have a cosmetic case, this black cosmetic case that I have a template on. And, it's a cosmetic bag, so I'm going to call it Magic Potions, right? Isn't that what you consider your bag of tricks is, some magic potions? So this is right side out right now. So what I'm going to do is put my hand inside and turn that wrong side out. I'm pulling those edges out. And I want to get it nice and flat. So I'm really going to completely turn it inside out, pushing out the corners, all of that, right? And I know it's just a big black blob that you're looking at right now. But in a moment, you will see that. So here's my template inside, right? So now I'm going to remove that protective paper, and I'm going to center this in the hoop, and then I'm just going to curl this and keep it out of harm's way. Now when I go to the machine, I'm going to use my board underneath to carry it to the machine. And then I'll just center my needle right over that template and peel back the template and embroider the design. And that's how easy it is. And when I'm done, I'm going to tear it out of the hoop, and I'll show you how to patch in a little bit. We have another project coming up to show you. And that's how easy that is. So this cosmetic bag, that's tubular, it's finished, right? I can still embroider because I have this flat metal hoop and the sticky stabilizer is adhered to the back. So let's go ahead and set that aside for right now. And then we're going to move over to the ribbon and belt. So this is a really common thing to embroider in a sticky hoop. So here I have a ribbon, a beautiful linen ribbon that I'm going to embroider because it's going to be wrapped around a quilt that I made for this bride, Lindsay, and her wedding is coming up in October. So if you're with me, you probably, if you visit with us often, you probably already saw me stitching that quilt. And now we're about ready to give it. I'm sure there's going to be lots more Lindsay wedding items that you'll hear about in the meantime. So let's go ahead and remove that protective paper. And I do have my board underneath, but I'm going to take it out of the way just so that you don't see that, bleeding through. So there's a couple different items that I use when I am planning embroidery that has to be linear. And I can just use a Sharpie and a ruler. Now, I could stitch alignment marks, but this is really faster. So I'll just stick my ruler right in the frame with the inside frame. So I know if that's aligned, then this line will be straight and square to the needle, right? Doesn't really matter where it is. And then I'm going to take my belt. This is a belt. Then I'm going to embroider, and I'm just going to line up that edge of the belt with that straight edge, that line that I just drew. And then I'll center my needle over that template, and then I am ready to stitch. Now, if I'm going to do the opposite end, I would just butt it right up next to it. We already know that we have this straight edge. So if I align this next to it, then I'll have another straight edge, right? I would move my template over to this area and then continue to stitch. So that's a belt. And then on the ribbon, it's pretty much the same thing, exactly the same thing, really. So but I'm going to give you a little trick on, I do have these in position, and I did that so that I could determine the length of ribbon that I would need, right? So I placed one template near the end of the ribbon, and then I tied the bow and then placed the other template. But sometimes on wired ribbon, you may not really get it centered. So I'm going to show you a little trick that, because it's wired, and you can align that wire with that marked line and then smooth it in place. Just smooth it all down. Now you know that this is flat and it's evenly spaced the whole way. Unlike if I was doing something like this, there's a good chance, it's not going to be straight. You see how crooked that one is? So now I can take that template and I can center it. I have tools that can give me some help with that. I could use my pal, but this centering ruler is really handy. So when I'm using a centering ruler, I just want to verify that the ruler hits the edge of the ribbon at the same location. So here it's the 3 centimeters and the 3 centimeters, or 1 1/4 and 1 1/4 inches. And so then I know that I'm centered, right? And, I did a pretty good job eyeballing that, didn't I? I'm kind of right on it. So for this one, same thing. We'll just line that up right next to it. And notice that I'm using a very generous sized hoop, right? Because I need that ample space so that I have the freedom to maneuver and navigate around this sewing field. It's just easier than working in a 5 by 7. I mean, the hoop is not providing any stabilization except for the sticky stabilizer itself. So, that rule about smaller is better, not so much with a sticky hoop, right? Okay, so I love doing these things. And when you wrap a gift in an embroidered ribbon, oh, it's such a lovely touch, isn't it? It really means so much to the recipient, and it just is a warm, fuzzy feeling. Okay, so we're going to set this aside, and then we're going to move over to a child's hoodie. Now, these are kind of fun, and maybe it's a project that you've been wanting to try. Let me show you the finished. So here's our little, I meant to put this on a board, I apologize. But here's this, look at this little hoodie with the duck, little duck face, applique, super fast, super easy to make. So let's go ahead and apply that to show you how that is all set up. And I seem to be missing a blue hoodie. How could that be? How could that be? We had 2 blue hoodies in here. Oh, because it was getting pressed. That's right. Okay. All right. Well, maybe someone on my team will bring that to me, and I'll just move on to something else. Okay. Let's take a look at another project for a hoodie. And this one's a little, we'll go back to hoodies in a moment. But right now, let's take a look at a child's toy. So these little things, these loveys, oh, they're luscious, right? But, they have stuffed arms and a stuffed head, all dimensional. Really difficult to hoop that. So I can place her in a larger hoop. But here's a hoop that has, the sticky has a big hole in it. I like that it's a big hoop because I can rest, the whole animal in it. But let's go ahead and patch that. So when you patch these, you're going to patch them from behind. And I am going to slide my hooping station back into position because I want you to see that I'm going to flip this over and place it on a work surface so that the attachment is hanging off the edge, right? Because we want the hoop flat. Okay, and then I've just cut a larger piece of stabilizer, and I'm going to separate it. And remember my little trick about placing that underneath. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we're going to take our stabilizer and we're going to smooth it in place. Just smooth it in place. Now, we most certainly don't want to extend beyond the edge of the hoop. But that's nice and firm. And then when I turn it over, I can give it another press. But it always wants to press from the back. Always a patch from the back is what I mean. Because if you patch from the top, you will, the patch could separate from the base, and most certainly that's not desirable. So here we are with our little lovey, right? And then we just, we want to get that corner. Now, theoretically, right, you're probably programmed like I am. Oh, we have to center that target sticker in the center of the hoop. Well, not really. It's going to be a small design. Obviously, it's in the corner. So I'm going to position it up there and have the head down in the lower portion of the hoop. So this is the portion of the hoop that's closest to me when I'm sitting at the machine. So that means I'm going to be able to slide this hoop onto the machine, and the foot is going to travel here, and I won't have to worry about clearing all this 3D portion, the head, the arms, the ears, underneath the foot, right? Because the foot will stop in the center, and then I'll go back and navigate to that point. So that's how we patch. That's how we do dimensional things in the sticky hoop. And of course, sticky hoop comes in so many sizes, right? This is the 6 by 10 for Baby Lock Brother. Here, let's put that whole sheet back on. And now that hoop is ready for embroidery of the next project, whatever that's going to be. So I think that's a lot of fun. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at our little ducky, our hoodie. So this is curved. It's a knit fabric, right? So there's a lot of challenges there, but we're going to work on them one by one. So first thing I'm going to do is actually turn this inside out and flip it around. No, actually, no, not for the template. Sorry. We'll do that when we get to the actual stitching. So then I'm going to take my template, my little duck template, and, I'm going to line that center crosshair, the vertical crosshair, with the seam. And so, we have edge stitching, and then we have the seam itself. So you decide what you think is the center. I used the actual seam as my center. And I did not place the bottom at the bottom of the hoodie. I came up right at that hem. That just made me a little bit more comfortable. And on these templates, this is print stick target template paper, so they are sticky and, tacky. And so I can just walk that template right down that seam line, and I know he's going to be perfectly centered. I'm getting that all flattened out. I want to make sure I don't have any puckers or wrinkles. There we go. Probably you should trim your template right at that edge so you can really get a good line. But for demonstration purposes, I think I'm okay. And then I'm going to take my sticky hoop. And here I have a 6x6. Of course, this is a small design, so I could have used a smaller one. And now I'm going to turn that kind of inside out in a sense, because I want to have all the bulk of the shirt above the machine bed, right? Now, this is the way I would normally do it, but I think it might be easier if the bulk of the shirt was actually to the right or the left of the frame. So I'm going to flip it around and do it in this position. And then that way I can allow the body of the hoodie, this sweater, jacket, right? I can allow that to lay over the embroidery arm, and it'll hold all that weight. I will suggest, and I do this all the time, to turn those sleeves wrong side out, because we want to just keep them up above. We don't want them to get caught on anything, right? So I just find that it's just better if everything is tidy and up on top in this fashion. And this is how I would go to the machine. I would slide my board underneath and transport it to the machine. Of course, now I've lost my board. I have boards everywhere except one that's handy. So anyway, I would slide it underneath, and that's how I would get to the machine. Now you're going to have to make sure you flatten all this out and bypass that needle, right? And the embroidery foot. But once you do, then you just open up that design area, center the needle, rotate the design if you've positioned it in this orientation, and then you are ready to stitch. So I'm going to pause and see if we have any questions, because we still have some more to get stitching. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Diane O'Donnell says she's so excited. She's finally getting the dime supplier in Australia coming in June. Yes, it is. It's on the water, as they say. So I'm happy to hear that you are excited. And we're excited for everybody down under. Marianne DeBlago, you use sticky hoops for sweatshirts all the time. I have an adult hoodie that I'm going to show you that has the split design right in the front. Oh, I love that. Let's see. Retha, good to see you here. And you need the larger size. Oh, yeah, you can't beat them. You just can't beat these hoops, I'll tell you. They really are great. So let's see. Yeah, and Susie, good to know that to patch the stabilizer, absolutely. You don't need a new sheet every time. You don't, for sure. But eventually, you'll patch it so much, you'll just know, oh, it's time for a fresh sheet. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. Oh, and Philbeck, you asked your quilt shop to sponsor Dimes. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. I hope that they do that for sure. And Joanne Banco at Let's Go Sew says it's great to use the sticky hoops with wash-away our adhesive wash-away stabilizer. We have the adhesive sew and wash, and it is great. So you can do that also. Let's see. And Rhonda, you use it on T-shirts. Wow, lots of you have really been embracing it. I'm glad to hear that. All right, so let's go back. And now we're going to move over to what's next. Let's see. We did the toy. Now we're going to do another hoodie for a child. And let's go ahead and take a look at this split design. Now, I hope you can read it. But it says Mama's Bestie. Now, I will say that this zipper separation is a rather wide separation, but, you know, I think you can read it. I think it's legible. I know my daughter and granddaughter would probably enjoy wearing that. It seems to be a common saying I see in their house. But this can be a little confusing when you're in the hoop. So let me show you how to decipher that. Okay, I have the t-shirt, the sweatshirt with the 2 templates. So you're not going to, this is not going to be one large design with a space in the middle. This is actually one design and the second design. It's 2 separate hoopings, shall we say, although we're going to be in one hoop. So what I've done is I have a big hoop here. I don't need it to be that big, but it's okay. It's fine. And I've drawn some lines, right? I have some outside vertical lines that are parallel with the hoop. And I have a top horizontal line that I'm going to use to set up my hoodie. So let me unzip this little garment, get that open. And, you know, if you're like me and you think logically, you want to hoop it like this, but not so much. We're actually going to hoop it like this. We're going to hoop it like that. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so we're going to flatten that out. And I'm using this line here, that horizontal line, to align with the very top of the zipper. All right, and the straight line, the long vertical line, is going to align with the teeth, the zipper teeth. I'm just smoothing all that out, right? And I'm feeling underneath. I want to make sure I don't have any more of the shirt, right? Let you see the underside. So everything's nice and smooth. The rest that you see is up on top. Everything else is up on top. This is nice and smooth. So I'm going to take this over to the machine and I'm going to stitch. Well, I'm going to center the needle right there. And I'm going to select this design, right? You have to pay attention. This is actually the second half of Mama's Bestie, right? So, and it doesn't really matter which one you do first, but just make sure whatever design you select is matching your template, because you really can get confused, believe me. Okay, and then you're going to stitch that. And then the next thing is to pull all this over, right? And we're going to add the second one. Now I have an adult sweatshirt that's in progress. Of course, it's not Mama's Besties, but it's this very same concept. So let me bring that into the camera so you can get a look at that. All right. So let's see. So here's my first design. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that a beautiful design? And, you know, I could take this off now. See, I know you can relate, right? You're an embroiderer. You cannot look at a piece of water-soluble stabilizer and not pull it off if you know it's time for it to come off. I know. Notice what I did here. I stuck that water-soluble stabilizer to that strip of sticky stabilizer that's exposed between the frame and the edge of the hood. And that way I had that whole sheet and I didn't have to stay with the machine too closely, you know, because I would worry about it getting bunched up and caught in the foot. Because I've had plenty of those projects. So that just helped keep it down nice and tame and so forth. And this is, you know, kind of like popping bubble wrap. All right, I'll stop, I promise. Okay. So I have my other half of the design, right, that I want to stitch on the other side of the garment. And that's already in position. Okay, so here's how it's going to go. This trick I want to show you is that I have covered this portion of sticky with the protective paper. I literally cut the protective paper in half and then placed it over this exposed sticky stabilizer area so that while this portion was stitching, I wasn't getting the garment stuck to the sticky and losing the tackiness of the adhesive stabilizer. That just cracks me up. Like, I would think if you're tacky, you'd want to lose the tacky. But anyway, another day for another joke. Okay, so we're going to pull that up. Now, I didn't use the lines here because this is a bigger hoop. It's a smaller design, and I'm doing this on a sophisticated machine on the Solaris, so I don't have to worry about my alignment and so forth. I can use all kinds of navigation tools on the machine itself to just make sure that I am stitching this embroidery design square to the template, right? So I could use a camera, I could use a scanner, I could use a projector, I could just use the navigation keys that will allow me to position the needle over the crosshair in the center and then travel down to the edge of the design and travel up to the top. And when I do that, I keep my eye on the foot, making sure that my line here is still centered in the hoop, and I do it vertically and horizontally. And, you know, it's just a great way to ensure that I'm square and I'm happy, and I'll stitch that. So isn't that great? So here's all that bulk, right? Here's the back of the t-shirt. The sleeves are in here somewhere. So you do have to keep it under control when you're going, when you're at the machine, when you're working one half to the other. But then after it's complete, out it comes, and you have a gorgeous hoodie that's going to line up just perfectly. I'm so excited to get this one finished. If I had a second adult sweatshirt handy, I would have stitched this one complete and showed you how to set it up. So isn't that fun? Okay. So I think maybe I'll see if you have any questions about those hoodies, because some people, you know, it can be a little confusing as to right and left bodice and right and left in the hoop. So let's see. Oh, would you use wash away sticky for something like that hoodie? Oh, I did. No, I didn't. I used our tearaway. You could use the wash away. You could. But today I used our regular sticky adhesive. Yep. And let's see, Rena Wilcoxon says that the sticky are great for embroidering on jean jackets with heavy seams. Absolutely. Really hard to hoop over those triple seams, you know, on the center back yoke and then down the center of the jacket. So yeah, great tip on that. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, and let's see. Never thought to use the wash away sticky on the sticky hoops. Absolutely. Just cut it to size. And if it's a little larger, then just roll it over, you know, the top. You can do that for sure. And Marianne de Blagla and I think Joanne Banco say they use wash away for towels. Very nice. Yeah, why wouldn't you? Because you're going to launder those towels an awful lot. And Annie Rowley says, what's the difference between a snap hoop and a sticky hoop? Well, a snap hoop has a magnetic top frame that secures fabric and stabilizer between the magnetic flat top frame and the metal bottom frame. A sticky hoop is only a metal bottom with no top. An adhesive stabilizer is positioned on the back of the hoop, and it sticks to the bottom of that flat hoop. And then you can place your item on the sticky stabilizer and not have to worry about hooping a piece of sticky stabilizer and then maybe having it pop out of the hoop. So I hope that you understood. We'll take a closer look at the difference today. And somebody else has a hoodie and they haven't used it yet. Linda Johnston, get it out of the box. Give it a try. You're going to love it. You're going to be like, oh, this is really super easy to do. And Sandy Creaser probably says, she's learned so much from your videos. Thank you. And you have jackets to embroider. Do it, Sandy. Do it. The sticky hoop is the way to do it. Yep. This is a big question. Let's see. Maybe we can all help her out. JC Productions is embroidering on a canvas tote bag. If you need 3 designs to go across, would you recommend me to go maximum 4 inches or how big? Well, that would depend on how big is your tote, how big is your hoop. So you're going to have some wiggle room beyond the embroidery design so that you can, get that big tote in a hoop. So you're going to have to do a little math, JC. Every project is unique. Every project is unique. But just measure, go ahead and hoop your tote bag and by hooping it in the center and then divide that space into 3 or 4. And that'll tell you what size the design should be. Okay, so what do we have left? Oh, we do have some other stuff. So let's do a hat, right? Should we do a hat? Out of office, every once in a while, it's really good to wear this hat, right? To get out of your comfort zone or your everyday routine and get out of the office and, hit a national park or a beach or just lounging at home. Okay. They can be a challenge on home embroidery machines, right? But we have a good solution. So sticky hoop is the solution. I'm going to peel. I have it all set. I'm going to peel off the protective paper. And I'm going to introduce you to another product, which is called Hoop Clip. And Hoop Clip, it does look just like a clipboard, right? In fact, it's a portion of a clipboard. But it has magnets here. So it is going to stick right to that metal frame of Snap Hoop Monster, right? It's going to slide there and stick right on it in position. So what it does with a hat is it can hold this bill, this stiff bill, and help flatten out that soft structured cap so that it is flat down on the sewing field. So I'm going to go ahead and get this positioned, right there on the end. And I'm going to take my cap and flip it over. And the sweatband, we want to pull out. We want to pull that away from the crown of the cap because we don't want to stitch on the sweatband. We want to leave that loose. And then with that, and I'm pulling that flat. And then I'm just going to open up that clipboard and slide that bill underneath. And I'm feeling for that neckband and sweatband, and it's fine. And I'm kind of turning the cap inside out, right? Get that up above. And then I'm just going to flatten that design area onto the sticky stabilizer, and I'm ready to go to the machine, center my needle over that target sticker. Always confirm my orientation, right? Because we want the hoop clip to be at the bottom of the hoop that is closest to you when you are sitting at the machine, right? Because we don't want to try to get this hoop clip underneath the embroidery foot, right? And you might think, of course, that's obvious, but sometimes when you're hooping and you're not sitting at the machine, you don't give that a thought, and then you move to the machine and, now I have to do it all over again, right? So that's the ticket there, okay? Make sure you just kind of set yourself up for success. And then you just stitch that, and then out it comes to the hoop. So let's go ahead and see what else we can use for our hoop clip. So we have a small little bag. And, I am one of 6 sisters, right? I have no brothers, and my father had many talents. And one of them was, he was a builder. He was a master carpenter. He built the home that we lived in. And as the girls, his daughters got, teenage years and so forth, he was kind of anti-makeup, and he would say, what are you putting on your face? Spackle and paint, right? So it's kind of a little joke amongst us sisters. And I thought it would be fun to print that, embroider that on this small cosmetic bag. Now, this is small, right? But let's see if we can't flatten it and get it in a hoop. So I'm going to turn this wrong side out all the way. And I'm going to fold back that top, put the design area down on the sticky stabilizer, and I'm going to open up that clip and work that little cosmetic bag and all its layers underneath that clip, and then smooth that down. And when I take this onto the machine, I'm going to flatten that so that I can get the needle across the cosmetic bag. And then once it's, across, I'll lift that back up. And then I'm going to center my needle. I have to make sure, again, about my orientation and so forth. And, if it's a little too close, well, goodness, there's no rule as to where that has to be. So I could move my template down a little bit further. But you're going to want a small design. This is going to be your design area. It's not going to be much bigger than that, but it's adorable. You do that in a contrasting thread, and it's going to have great impact. And look how sturdy. I mean, that is definitely going to stay there. It's not going to fall out. It's really going to be quite handy to do that in that little hoop. So yeah, I love the combination of the hoop clip and sticky hoop. I mean, sticky hoop is really versatile. And the fact that, it comes with sheets of the sticky tearaway, but you can also use the adhesive water soluble. No reason why you can't. Okay, I have one more thing. This adorable backpack. So let's take a look at this. I'll get this in camera in a moment so you can see. And I just want to show you. So it has a strap. So this is a crossbody bag, but it only has that, I forget what that's called, but that thing, forgive me. But it has two options, for right hand or left hand people, however you want to carry it. So I'm going to go ahead and detach that so that I have a little leeway in my hooping. And easier said than done. Okay. Now, I wish that it detached from here, but it doesn't. So that's okay. So I am going to put my hoop clip back in position. And actually, let's not do that. We'll do it like this. We're just going to pretend you're sitting where I should be sitting. Okay. And now we want to get this design area underneath. So that's a little bit of a challenge, right? I'm going to pull the back, and I'm going to actually fold this over. And the reason why I know this is because I've already tried, right? And then pull that belt out of harm's way. So it's out of the design area, as you can see, right? It's out of the design area. And then I'm going to lift that clip and get as much of that bag under there as I can, right? Get it under there. And again, another good reason to be using a hoop that's larger than your design, right? This is clearly would fit in a 4x4 hoop. But having all this sewing field, this area to work in, gives me a little bit more space, right? And then I'm going to make sure that I keep this under control during the stitching process. And again, that's a nice strong hold. Nothing's coming off. That's going to stay right in position. And I'm going to, center that needle over that target sticker, make sure my orientation is correct. And then I am ready to stitch. I love that. Isn't that cute? Okay, let's see if there's any questions. Yeah, this by Chris Embroidery. She says, I hadn't thought about using the hat clip for other items. Duh, what was I thinking? Get that out of the box. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see. So Anne Augustine, so the clip is towards the back of the machine. No, it's not. The clip is at the front of the machine. And I was demoing that incorrectly. It's a little hard for me, and because, I have to do it upside down for you because of the camera. It does everything in mirror. And then sometimes in my mind, I'm upside down. So anyway, here, let me just show you the proper way that this would be. So it would actually be, and I'm going to come over to the other camera so you can get a better look, okay? So if you were sitting at the machine, right, here's your attachment, and here's your hoop clip down here. And so that means when I slide onto the machine, I'm going to, I just poked my finger through that. And you're going to love this. So that means my embroidery foot is going here. It's not going in this direction. So I'm going to be able to clear my frame and my bag. I'll have to push it down and so forth. But I won't have to worry about any of this business. So this is why you use the board, because if you don't use the board, that's what happens when you try to transport a hooped item. Oh, can only happen on no, that's not true. It happens everywhere. Don't kid yourself that it can only happen on a live. Okay, I still want to check questions. I'll come back and then we're going to clean off that hoop so you can take a good look. All right, let's see. So yes, Marjorie, the hat clip is absolutely at you. It's closest to you when you're sitting at the machine. You know, if you do it the other way, you'll try to put it on the machine and you'll go, oh, of course, you know, it needs to go on the other end of the hoop. So you'll know right away, and you'll probably just do it the one time. Yeah, we all have, hopefully we all make those mistakes just one time, right? Here's my good friend, my sister-in-law, Kathy Colvin. She's a happy embroiderer, and she says sticky stabilizer is wonderful. It is wonderful. It's great stuff. It makes us look like embroidery rock stars when maybe we don't have that great of skills. Let's see. So let's see. Creative appliques. Our friend Dawn says with the hat clip at the front of the machine, you do not need to flip the design either. Probably not. Just depends. But always make sure you're checking. You know, that's why templates are so useful, right? I print a template out of everything I'm going to stitch. I always place it on the item so I can verify if I like the design on the fabric or if it's a finished item. I can visually see it. And I know then that, oh, well, maybe it's not centered, or it's too big. It's too big for that small space, or it's really lost. It does need to be larger. Whatever it is that I'm working on, whether it's a garment, a finished, you know, a cap, a cosmetic bag, I print a template and I put it on there and I take a good look at it. And if I'm happy, then I don't change the template. And if I'm not, well, then I do change it. So yeah. And let's see, Cindy Clark wants to know, is there free shipping? There is free shipping today in the code. We'll get to that in just a moment. So how do we clean it? And let's see, Ann Augustine wants to know, how many stitches can you get on that stabilizer? Gee, Ann, I have no idea. Well, let's see. I mean, a lot. You know, it's not going to fall apart in the hoop. Okay. I've never had that happen. No matter what design I've had, I've never had it punch all the way through. So I don't know. Let's see. Okay, let's go ahead and clean a hoop. Why don't we do that? Because we know everybody, we all get messy, right? So that I'm going to do the 4x4 hoop, and I'm going to bring this over, I think, so that I know we're kind of really tight on this. But let's take a look. So I'm going to remove this piece of stabilizer. Maybe I can sacrifice it or salvage it. Yeah, I think so. But you can see this is not my first hooping in this little hoop, right? I have definitely been using this hoop and it's well loved, and now we can clean it. So I'm going to use mineral spirits. You can get this, you know, in the hardware store or anywhere. And this one is odorless. It's still good to use it in a well-ventilated area. Now, we did place it on, put it in a spray bottle because it's just easier to work with. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cover my work surface with a towel. And no, actually, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to spritz the towel. And maybe the spray bottle will work. And maybe it won't. So that's not working. No. So we'll just use our original bottle. And so what I want to do is I want to saturate that hoop, right? I mean, this sticky stabilizer. So I'm wetting it, and I'm making sure I'm getting ample of the mineral spirits on it. And I can do, you know, a couple passes. You don't have to do this that often. I mean, goodness, I don't know. I go a lot of hoopings. way more than the residue that was on here. I mean, I would do another 20 hoopings probably. I just don't worry about it that much. I know many of you often ask, how many hoopings do I need to use? Do I need to do? And then once it's saturated, you can see here, it just starts rolling off. It just starts rolling off. You'll use a little elbow grease, but not much. It comes off. And if I were more patient and really just let it saturate, and it's the paper that's coming off. It's the stabilizer portion that's coming off. You can see it's kind of papery. See how nice and clean it's getting on here? And just a little elbow grease. And in no time, it'll be all nice and clean. You can probably peel some of that. And again, this is a lot like popping bubble wrap. You probably don't want to spend your afternoon watching me do this. I don't need to do the whole hoop, but you can see, look how nice and clean that portion is. And we just need to do a little bit more in the other portion, and it'll come off in no time. But remember, it's the soaking it a little bit that releases the adhesive and allows it to separate from that frame. And this is mineral spirits. So commonly, available in lots of hardware stores, big box home stores, maybe even your grocery store has it. Goodness, today in Texas, grocery stores have just about everything except, well, I don't know, cars, I guess. We have some super big stores here. Okay, so pretty good, huh? That quick, it's just about all off. So I can see if we have any more questions, and then I'll bet by the time we come back, that will be saturated enough and it'll just peel right off. Okay. So let's see, Retha, you haven't cleaned them? Yeah. And you hesitate to use template paper for a small design because it seems a lot of waste. What do you do about that? Well, Becky, what kind of software do you have? Do you have one of our software programs that has more, that's not the free one? Because I'll show you what I do in PEP. So if you just bear with me a minute, I'll jump in to PEP. I'll have to bring my computer in there. So just bear with me. And I'm going to show you a little trick in, and then maybe one of our team members can tell me what software programs that we have in our array allows me to do this crosshair. So besides PEP. Oh, and I am not on Wi-Fi, so just hang on one second. I'll be there with you in a minute. But it's worth this trick. And I'll tell you, it's worth buying the software to be able to do this. So I'm going to jump in, and I'll bring in my software. All right. And I'm going to present my screen. Here we go. Okay, so I am in here. Let's just go ahead and get a new design up, right? And let's type in, I don't know. Come on, wake up, computer. So we'll just do ABC. I am so creative. And then let's go ahead and bring in, we'll just bring in a couple embroidery designs, these little monogram designs. Goodness gracious. Okay, so we'll do one more. Here we go. Here's a nice frame. And, that's a big frame. Okay, even better. So I'm going to select that design and right-click and go to Utility, Add Crosshair. And then I'm going to select the design and that crosshair and group it. Now, you don't have to group it, but I just can tell you that it's a good practice to do because it will all stay together then because we're going to be moving things around. So I'm going to move him down a little bit and right-click, Utility, Add Crosshair, and do the same to this little ABC, add crosshair. And again, we're going to group that crosshair and design group. That way, it all stays together as you had hoped, because you don't want to move your crosshair out of the center of the design. Okay, now let's check our size. Up here at the top of the page, it says my size is 7.5 by 4.1, and that's all of these designs. So we know that's going to fit on a page, right? Now, the next thing we want to do is go into our print preview. So File, Print, Preview. Oh, that's not going to come up, is it? Okay, let me share in a different manner because this is important. So just bear with me 1 minute. Oh my. Okay, I just want to share. Stop share, and then share again. I'm going to share the entire screen. Alrighty. Okay. So now when I go to File, Print Preview, this is where your settings are for your printing. So let's click on Settings. And one of your options is crosshair. And if I had a check mark in there and I hit OK, I now get a big crosshair in the center of the page. And because if you're stitching one design, that's what it would do. So you don't want that, right? So we go back to Settings and remove that crosshair. And then you can see that we don't have that crosshair, but we do have our crosshairs. Another item that's important in settings is to have artworks checked, because the crosshair is actually artwork. So you have to have a check mark there. So let's remove that so you could see what would happen. And now you see you just have the images of the embroidery designs and you don't actually have crosshairs. So by going back into artworks and OK, and then you see that you have, and you could do an entire page. You can do an entire page. Let's see, do I remember the font from my ribbon? Well, let's not share my screen right now and I'll take a look. Can we drop down my screen? Thank you. Oh, okay. So I'm understanding that you didn't really know how I brought up those crosshairs. So I'll do that again so that you can see how to do that. And then meanwhile, I'm over here looking for that font, for Joanne Banco. Where is it? The L&M. And it is Times. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Let's go back over to my design. So I'm going to remove this. Let's just bring in a new design. How about that? Okay, so here we'll go bring in a monogram design and we'll bring in another frame. And when it appears, you'll notice it does not have a crosshair on it, right? So we're going to right-click and select Utility, Add Crosshair. And there you have it. And now the crosshair is selected. And when I hold down the Control key and click on the design, the crosshair and design are now selected. And so I right-click and go Group. I could also group up here with these icons. This icon is group and this one is ungroup. But now, that gives me the ability to move that object as one. Okay, and here's a great tip. So from Chris Vick, print a small design. To print a small design, she sets her printer for a smaller paper size, one that closely matches the design size. Then the printer only prints according to that paper size. Well, that's cool. I've never tried that. Let's see. Yes, the crosshair on the print section is available in all of Dime's collections, but the ability to add a crosshair may not be. So Roy Garland, if you're there, maybe you could tell us in the comments. Yeah. Okay. So we're looking that up because it's not in every program, right? In our free program, you can print one template with the crosshair. That's a default setting, and it'll print it out. But if I were to do that, if I were to do that in our free software, I would have to print each of these templates on an individual paper, and that's just how it is. So that's in our Perfect Embroidery Pro program only. So that's what we call PEP. It's what we call the mothership. It is the most powerful piece of software that we have, and it is the one that I'm in every single day, all day. Even when I'm supposed to be writing or doing emails or finances and stuff, I really want to be in PEP, truth be told. So, okay, well, I think we kind of hit it today, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Get Sticky Hoop. If you don't already have it, my goodness, you are really going to enjoy it. What size should you get? Well, that's a good question. So I would suggest like an 8x12 because a small hoop is going to allow you to only do small things, right? But a big hoop is going to allow you to do as large as that sewing field is, let's say an 8x12, and also multiple smaller things, right? So like you could use that hoop clip on the larger hoops and the 5x7. It's not really applicable to the 4x4, I find. I find it works best in the 5x7 and larger. But because you can patch stabilizer, a bigger hoop will allow you to do multiple projects in one piece of stabilizer by patching the individual areas that you use. So anyway, okay. I think that's great. So anyway, I really appreciate you sharing your time with me today. And next week, hey, we have more stuff to do. What am I doing? We got way more stuff to do. We got to do our on the house. You got to see what this special is today. Did you know that the sticky hoops start at $59.99? They're much more affordable than, well, let's not put it that way. They're less expensive than our snap hoop monsters because they don't have a magnetic top. It's just that bottom frame. And boy, are they handy for so many different items. They come with the sticky stabilizer, so you can get using it right out of the gate. And on today's code, if you spend over $75, it ships for free. Next week, I'm so excited. I have Renewal Coxon from Embroidery Garden coming and joining me for Between Friends. And we're going to have a whole lot of fun. We're going to be talking about in the hoop and also how to, what kind of other uses you can use the hoop and press pads for and how to store them. Isn't that a challenge for all of us, how to store many of our tools? So I think that you're going to just love that. Okay, so let's see. Ashley is on June 4th, which was Tuesday. We missed it. Duh. So her next event, her next software success is on the 20th, and she'll be back with more great software tips. So please join her then. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to like us on Facebook. When you do that, we know that we're giving you the content that you desire. So without your subscriptions and without your likes, we don't know if we're giving you the right thing. So please let us know. When you are stitching your on-the-house designs, we would love it if you would share it on social media using the hashtag #DimeSewAlong, Dime on the House, and well, not Dime, but hashtag on the house and hashtag exquisite threads. Threads, whatever threads are, exquisite thread. Okay, so let's see what you've been stitching. You can find those free designs on our website by going to searching for free designs or project, and it'll be under embroidery. You'll find it. They're up there all year. There's a new one every week, and once a month there's a project. So please go download them. Don't wait till the end of the year. Do it every week and you'll enjoy it. So let's see. Well, let's see. Ann Augustin said that the 8x12 for Solaris is unavailable. I'm not really sure. So maybe one of our team members could check on that. That might be something wrong. I'm not aware that the 8x12 is out of stock. So please check on that. I think we do have it. Aretha Ranky loves seeing everyone's finished on the house. Me too. I love it. I love it. I do for sure. And Joyce Leary, yep, she said the next software is actually on the 18th. So true. It's not June 20th. Ashley will be back on June 18th because she's here on the first and third Tuesday of every month. So clearly, Eileen Roche can't read a calendar when she's live. So don't ever ask me to do that task again. Thanks for catching that, Joyce. That's great. So let's see. And what else is next? Well, I know you're waiting for that design, and here it is. It's a great 4th of July design with that American flag waving in the breeze, and it's, of course, red, white, and blue, our favorite colors here in the USA. So I hope that you'll enjoy that and use it to celebrate the upcoming 4th of July holiday. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you'll take advantage of this week's special Sticky Hoop.